Hi, everybody. I am Denise Chadwick, and this is Susanne Amara. And we have decided to get together today and record this, not do it as a live, but put this out later. And what we're planning to do, so I guess this is like a special Love Speaks Love, but it's also a raw ascension, which is Suzanne's medium as well. Um, and what we've been talking about doing for a while is some energy work, some activation, some weaving. Some of it will be talking about stuff and weaving in that way, and some of it will be bringing codes in, energy, light language. And the parts of the body, particularly that we want to be working on a bit low, is here. So my rib cage is here, and it's this spot here. So it's kind of in the solar plexus, but it's almost where, if you imagine the heart chakra, it's kind of, you think of a Venn diagram in two overlapping circles. It's like that space between the heart chakra and the solar plexus. It's like, to me, where the two of them cross over. And this particular point has been coming in for me for a long time. And I've been working on this spot for ages. And it's like each time I do work on it, it's taking layers away. But it feels like there's more to do. And because Susanne and I work in similar ways, we wanted to work together on this. And one way that this has been manifesting for me is in terms of my lungs. So when this area gets really clogged, it's like my lungs get constricted and I feel wheezy. So symptoms of asthma can show themselves. And then I clear this spot, and it's interesting when this happens because I don't always feel to go to my lungs and place my hands there. It always feels like I want to go to this spot, like this is the cause of this. So in Chinese medicine, your intestines and your lungs are both metal frequency, and they're both in the same energy pathway. So sometimes if your guts, your intestines are out of balance, it can take energy from your lungs. So we know that there's a pathway between them and a link between them in that way. But I feel like there's more to this. So we want to kind of unravel some of this and free up this area. There's also a lot to do with all the fear that's on the planet at the moment and the transmutation of the fear. And it kind of feels like almost passively we take things into our body and we're transmuting it. But because there's so much of it around at the moment, it just gets a bit too much. We can't just do it passively. There's some actions that we not have to, but is beneficial for us to take to clear this area. Is there anything you want to step in and say at this point, Suzanne?
Yeah, I'm just really in alignment with what you're sharing. Definitely, yeah, the upwelling of the lungs, expressing the things that we've pushed down, things that we've taken in, consumed over many years and time. It's been eased out. So as much as we're taking in, because there's a large potency of energy right now, that we're also releasing as well. So it's like a double whammy, and the system is getting a lot of action. So it's the right time to bring this work together. And the nervous system, I think the work today for me, probably with the energy of the collective, is to help and support with the nervous system, and help to bring coherence and alignment, particularly through the spine and the autonomic nervous system, to regulate, because it's particularly an autonomic process, so it tends to break down energetically. It breaks down, but also mechanically it breaks down, because we tend to breathe very lightly and we're not breathing properly, which you can perhaps expand on a little bit as well. So the breathing is a really important process. So our lungs give us that generous energy of oxygen, but also the generous energy of prana, of life force. So it's very important that we are breathing comprehensively and properly into our body. So this is a very strong work for both of us, and also because we've both had a condition called asthma. So we both actually are showing up and working with this as well. It's not just, we're not bringing a pie in the sky, we're actually doing the work as well with it, and understand this from a perspective of experience.
And I think in terms of who could benefit from this, I think anyone who's been experiencing stuff with their breathing or stuff with their solar plexus, and as you say, the nervous system, which kind of is, it's quite a lot of people, really, especially the nervous system stuff. I almost feel like, and I don't know this, where the vagus nerve, but it almost feels like there's a bundle, because the vagus nerve goes, that is along that channel, but it almost feels, I get like a vision of a bundle of nerves there, like it's a potent part of the vagus nerve there. And it's, you mentioned the autonomic nervous system, so also linking in the sympathetic and the parasympathetic, and
Yeah.
and I know I've been running for years with the sympathetic nervous system way higher than it should have been, and my parasympathetic, it's like that balance has been out of balance. So I've been spending a lot of time working with the parasympathetic nervous system to kind of get that going more, which is you rest and digest. And there's a place for the sympathetic nervous system, but it just doesn't need to be there like all the time when you're trying to sleep and when you're trying to digest
No,
food. And
it's all related, isn't it? Everything's related, so it's all relative. So your lungs sits above your diaphragm, and then underneath there you've got your kidneys, and your adrenal glands. They're like, again, this is fear as well. So there's an energy dynamic, and that HPA axis, which we might talk about and cover in activation to balance and bring it into coherence, that's all related to the sympathetic and parasympathetic balance, isn't it? So if you've got cortisol, adrenaline running through your system, this is going to affect how you breathe, how you digest, how you intake nutrients as well. Nutritive intake affects the levels of neurotransmitters in your brain. It affects your hormones, just about every system. So really what we're doing is, although we're focusing on the lungs, this is such a big component of life force and life potency, energy as well, like the energy in the mitochondrial processes of the body and how we move the energy. So it's all, we can't cover it all, but it just is, just so you know, that we're observant of this, that the interrelationship of the body as we're moving with these points is that it's going to affect the whole body. It's the whole body, the whole system. They're not just isolated spaces.
yeah, nice. Some of the work that I've done already in regards to this, so working with David Maria and his course, Freedom from the Known, part of that course is to take away the fear body, which is like an energetic overlay and is not part of our natural way of being. It is like an overlay that we've been working with, but it's kind of time to shed that. And the lack body as well, it almost feels that is tied in with this. But what I was feeling was that this is the point that those were like joined into our energy field. It kind of, that was their like connection point there. That's how they were glued in. Not quite, but that was my impression of it. And when I tuned into that area, I saw this, it looked like a black rose, but that was like the that to me seemed to be the holding point for these distortions. So when I was in Glastonbury, I did some work to move that, working with rose energy and 3 crystalline roses. I saw myself putting 3 crystalline roses into that area, and they were kind of like moving around until it felt stabilized, and until that black rose portal kind of dissolved, and then the crystalline rose energy became one. The 3 roses in that area became one and grew from that spot. So that was one visualization that I did that I found powerful. But it also feels like something is coming online now in this area to do with the crystalline light body. And that's part of what we're doing today, kind of bringing that online. But as part of that, we have to shed some of the distortion that's in there. Is there anything you want to add at this point?
No, I can just feel the activation. It's going all the way down into the all the way down into the root. You know where those the little star is, the stargate. It's like hinged there. It's like moving up, release of the lungs, expanding the heart and back of the heart, moving those wing points out. So it's all good. It's all good. It's like being a pilot and like going, yes, we're clear for takeoff, Denise.
I'm glad you've mentioned the back of the heart there.
Yeah.
And just to weave that energy in as well, because a lot of the time, because our eyes are at the front of our body and that's what we see, we often focus more on the front of the body. And we forget a little bit about the back of the body, and the back of the heart chakra is often quite closed. And it's almost like we're guarded at the back because it's a bit more vulnerable, because we can't see there. So now feels to be the time where we open up at the back, and that's really important. And when that happens, you can sometimes get some discomfort there. It can sometimes be quite sore, quite painful. And that really is just stuff releasing. We're just, as we open it up, we're actually aware of what's in there, creating distortion. And as our bodies are releasing it, we kind of have to feel it as it passes through. We can't really release it unless we're actually feeling it. We can't just, push it away and not feel it. It kind of has to go through our heart and be felt in order to be released.
I'm getting a big vision here of the ribs as well, and particularly the intercostal fascial tissue. There's going to be a lot of energy moving around that because there's a lot of grief in there. Yes. There's a lot of grief in those spaces. It's just coming in really, really strong now. Also on the sternum and around the edges of the sternum, there's something unstitching there as well through this activation, and then that internal go in and release. This is not just in the physical body as well. The collective wanted to say that, although when we're talking in the physical, we're also talking about the light body as well, and your greater bodies of light are moving with us as well. So we're talking about a big system here and moving us into coherence. It's more than what we can really articulate, but we're just, if you see and hear us saying things, those things there'll be a lot of grief, and a lot with the pleural tissue as well, the cavity, because there's things that go in the cavity as well. So this is going to move the energy. It's like a womb. It feels like a womb. It's hard to explain that really logically, but like the cavity is a womb, and like the same space. It's birthing something for us because the heart gate is there, the wing point is there, that it's like this central system of life force, but we're just disregarding it. And like you say, we tend to concentrate on the front and defend the back, but not really look at it in a kind of open or loving way, the same way. So yes,
Yeah.
lots of energy there.
And thank you for mentioning the pleural space, the pleural cavity, because that hadn't even entered my consciousness. It's like I was focusing on the lungs and the diaphragm and the ribs and the intercostal muscles, but I'd actually forgotten about that pleural cavity, about that pleural space. And oh my goodness, that's massive. So if that is full of stuff, then your lungs can't fully
No, it
expand
can't.
into
It sticks
space.
together, so it can't move. It's like the sticky wedge. Yeah, it's energy. It's all you can feel it now. We're opening the activation. It's like if you can't move, like you say, if we're not breathing properly, if this tissue is constricted, you can't get the movement. Your posture's not right, so your spine's not moving the energy. Then it's like a cascade, isn't it? And the stress and the grief that we're holding is keeping us from having that expansive state. And this is really strong. So all coming, bringing it back down here. We think we're talking about all this stuff up here, but where the seat is so important, because this is the foundation.
And it does go back to the base chakra. It
Yes,
does go back to the base of the
absolutely,
spine.
all the way down.
I want to just
Yes.
mention, just go back to fascia at this point as well, and fascia stretching. There's myofascial release that has been in a lot of people's awareness for a long time, but fascia stretching itself, and I'm going to mention a lady called Erin Leitz, I think you pronounce her name, it's Erin, and her surname is Lietz, and she has put out the Fascia Miracle course with Daily Om, which is very reasonably priced, and she goes through all the parts of the body linked with fascia and fascia stretching, because your fascia, if you don't know, is part of your connective tissue system, and fascia is in all the muscles. It surrounds the organs. It's like it's everywhere, and it's also a channel of light and energy. And it hasn't really been that known. We're only now just starting to become more aware of the fascia and its role in the body. But she does also have a YouTube channel, and she does have stretches for these intercostal muscles and the ribs as well. And I highly recommend her work. The fascia stretching for me it's been a game changer. And you can feel when you stretch fascia that the muscle gets fed, and nutrients get through, energy gets through. It's amazing.
Yeah, the collagen as well. I think that it depends on your level of knowledge, but we used to just think, collagen in the skin, but actually this connective tissue, like in the same way, when we think of the ground and the way the mycelial network of the fungus goes in the ground, like that, the connective tissue is connecting our whole body. It's a communicative network, and the structure goes all around your body. It's in the cells, it goes in the nucleus. It's a portal for energy to move and to connect. So fascial tissue is an extension of that, is extremely important for us, very potent to release it. I see this all like almost like a mechanical structure, just in values of energy, because that's how it's given for me. It's more technical, that it's very important that we do this release work on our bodies. And the psoas muscle as well, that's another, it tightens, because if we're going to take the energy up in the body, again, although your psoas is down in your groin, we store trauma in there and grief, so that it stops us from having an upright or a stretched posture. We crumple in that point, can't function. And so the dynamic of the energy that we're moving can have quite a big impact. It could have quite a big impact potentially for opening the structures, so that you've got more of a feeling, at least, of maybe some of the containers of energy we're talking about, the things that we're talking about here, and releasing and being aware instead of, this is about being as body aware, isn't it? We're being body aware here, embodied awareness, rather than just aiming to heal something on the surface. We're looking at the synergy of the whole system and feeling that synergy, now how interconnected everything is. And this is what makes energy work so beautiful and also so potent. So it's a multi-pronged work, isn't it? Rather than, it's just not one thing, it's finding the right thing, and that feels good. The fascial tissue feels very important.
I'm being shown an octahedron in this spot. Oh,
We'll edit that bit out.
we just had a little pause there for doorbell. Package arriving from a neighbour, but they rang my bell. Bell's ringing. There must be something significant in that. All right, so we were talking about octahedrons. And I do see it spinning, and I don't see it spinning like the top spinning in one direction and the lower half spinning in another. I do see it as spinning in one direction. And for me, that seems to be anti-clockwise. But it may feel different for other people, or it may not be spinning. And it feels like this octahedron is in here already. It feels like it's part of the crystalline light body. But it also feels like what we're doing is going to give it more impetus, give it more power, more strength, and activate it. And if at any point any of this doesn't feel right to you, you don't have to receive any of this. You can just say, oh no, that's not for me at this moment, or however you wish to word it. Oh, I'm seeing more than one octahedron actually. I'm seeing one that way and one. There may even be more, but I'm just seeing two. Maybe three. I almost feel like it's like at first when I saw one octahedron, it was like spinning on its own axis.
That way. Yeah.
This almost feels like the two of them together. Did I mean spinning on its axis before?
It feels like the gyroscopic. I can't explain it because it's not a movement that we're not necessarily used to, but I have seen it before in a crop circle. When I went to a crop circle, that same sort of movement. Like it's moving like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really strong. It's very, very powerful. I can feel it.
And I'm just wondering if there's going to be a third octahedron. It feels like it's starting with one and then there's one at right angles to it. But I'm just feeling into the fact that there may become a third. And there's a lot of energy coming through, like my whole body's tingling, my hands are really tingling. I see them within a sphere. So it feels like they're held within a sphere. If you were to see it in a flat, on a page, it would be a circle around them, but it is actually a sphere. It's 3-dimensional. And a lot of the geometries in our body are not static, they are moving, they're changing, they're morphing into other things. And this feels very much in alignment with that. And I've seen a similar image in my heart space as well. The recent heart geometry that I actually posted a year ago, but I reposted it this week, of pink and gold geometry. I was first shown that in the heart space. So it feels like these two are connecting with each other, and that there is a channel of energy between the two of them. And it feels like this is linked to the channel of energy that goes down and up our spine, but it feels like it's as well as that channel. It's not purely that channel. It feels like it's kind of not quite separate from it. I can't find the words. And I'm feeling the same thing in the throat as well. And a lot of people have been getting, discomfort around the neck, around the throat. Nokoi et ernaya torel al brunat yat tiala. So the light language carries codes and keys and frequencies. If you're new to this, it's like very condensed pockets of information that come through with the light language. Okay, I'm going back to this point that we started at. And it feels that as this geometry is spinning, that there's a beautiful rippling out of energy in all directions, up, down, left to right, front to back. Jaren ohiet brnikt ait orn kia po no kat orn ka ern het tutorn kia hol on niet het arat kit arn ko barn kit ait orat kit arat making me want to burp. And burping is a release. I often, it feels when I burp that particularly solar plexus, but it can also release from heart and throat as well. And it's like it's just another way of shedding. Sneezing is the same, or coughing. It's a way of clearing. It feels really itchy in my solar plexus, like inside my body feels itchy. Aran kia ron o koren ni pe tata o kia. Al kita aran kita orit kita ni sutu aran ho apre ki aran kita do korot kita bar kita kon. Ala kara do koren kita oran na par to kita kon kita orit kita ai. Ekela kara do kora man kita orit kita atu push. Hole hera na kia na kita do la par kita an. Ole para kita ko dara to ko. Hashtara ko. Haraneki haranake aradoko. Shtarana. And those breaths that I was just doing, then there's a real contraction of the belly and the diaphragm, kind of upper belly more than lower. And it's like a massive expelling of energy. And it can also, within the expelling, actually bring in new frequencies. And it's happening at the same time. It's like a release. It's like an in-breath and an out-breath, but happening at the same time, simultaneously. Oreiki miyai torn, iut ataren, iut toren niuk oit eist. Hoi ele arania hai torn kia, oit ataren kia bruno eist. Oit adai niakia. Mai arani tui tornike datoren. Hole eat ornaya kore. Ut ist. Ist. Oh, oh, ja, ja. Oh. Daran di braidon niki oest daran tai kiaton ui toi taranai ko dit daina or nik dai blik her du ist kiar tarn kiar no papatan ort at ai nakartakien ot ai oran kia panna ta Dai hard hoi tatar no coin. I learned on. Excuse me. By it aren't I got oid. I'm really feeling the solar energies at the moment. I feel that the solar frequencies are really moving into this area at the moment too. And now I'm just wanting to place my hands there. It's feeling almost quite tender and almost quite raw and vulnerable in there. And it's like just holding a baby. It's like I just want to comfort, want to nurture, and just say, it's okay. You're okay. quite a strong metallic taste in my mouth then when I coughed. I don't know what that means, but just felt to share. And all the energy just feels like it's swishing around now in my belly. It feels quite different from before. And the postman just left another package. It's like interesting that as we're doing this, all these packages are coming in, like so linked with the work that we're doing. It's like opening packages, opening new information. And I just saw like a huge flower kind of just come out of the solar plexus and open up. Beautiful yellow golden flower. Kind of reminds me of a dandelion and a rose. It almost feels like a dandelion rose hybrid. Anything you want to share, Susanne? We're just deep in it.
Very, very deep activation, Denise. It's taking me so deep into my body. Like it's almost like you're going out of your body, but in your body, almost to sleep. It's almost being anesthetized, but in a very deep way. There was a lot of energy moving there. Very sacred process, and it's coming back now. It's easing off. So yes, deep movement. Yes, it's like a movement inwards. It's drawing you in to give the attention to release, and the fluidity of the movement of the energy. It's just I felt this like there's like a wobble. So it was as if my root energy in relation to when we changed the spin in the solar plexus, my root energy was reconfiguring, and it was kind of a little bit out of balance between the left and the right. So I was bringing these streams of codes that were kind of reseating. It was like one was higher than the other, and it was just like wobbling it very gently to wobble it back and bring it back, and then that seemed to be enriching the space. It's very good.
Can't stop burping.
Yeah, it's coming. Kuria Jushia. Garo Kurkia to Geragia to Protected to Kiana tatatea asha usikeya katatata. Kuro useya ushina uru ushiki. Isu to tia totushka you to ka ula lu awa. Shoot out. this is going all the way up the spine to the neck, to the back of the neck. Back down to the root. Spiraling up in clockwise direction up the spine. So it's spinning faster now. Su, 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 as this minor recalibration goes. Tu, su, 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 shu, 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 ria, re, su, sha. It feels like I want to elongate my spine, like stretch it up. Whoa, deo da da da, nuri, 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 no, 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 no. There's so much going on at the back of the neck. No, no, to, 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 to. So this is a transmission. It's coming in and it's coming straight through the cranial nerves, coming through the back of the neck and working down into the back of the heart. So this is directly affecting the lungs. Say sha 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 sigh shy 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 shy. It's like there's a breath moving through the neck. It's the breath moving through the neck, like angelic breath. Te ra ta 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 shoo. So it feels like when there's tension in the neck, where we talked about connective tissue, how the lungs are situated inside of the pleural cavity, where they sit, is affected by the neck, by it's we're like moving some energy. It might be that we slouch down, it might be that we go concave when this collapses, and that doesn't help. You know, it's affecting the position. So the energy is saying when the neck is not strong, when it's not moving that dynamic energy through the body, it affects the position of the lungs, it affects what the situation, and that affects the pleural cavity and the diaphragm. So then you've got like a reduction in the capacity for the life force energy. So this was really supporting it's like supporting the body to kind of move and stretch in the light body, not just the physical body, and to give the capacity that the lungs can open more. There can be more capacity here. there'll be more on the nerve. We'll have more on the nervous system. We've got a channel for that.
And just to add in the shoulders as well, you know, contraction in the shoulders can cause the contraction in the neck. So yeah,
Yes.
just to bring in that awareness too, that it's yeah, also the shoulder.
Yeah, yeah. And we're carrying so much, aren't we? We feel so responsible, and also as we develop we develop a conscience. We're developing a divine conscience, aren't we? And self accountability, responsibility for ourselves, for our energy, for our thoughts, for our emotions, and we want to do the right thing by and large. So we tend to carry the weight. We carry burden for others sometimes without meaning to, as well. Pick up on things along the way. So those shoulders get a workout, don't they? And also physically, because we're sat at the computer sometimes, aren't we, now doing things. So if you do have a sedentary position, that can easily become a bent over space as well. So there's physical impact as well as
Again,
energy and emotion.
Fascia stretching recommendation for that as well.
There's a lot of water energy moving as well. I've just got so much water energy related to this. And of course, yeah, we've covered this in our workshops together, haven't we? When we've synergized with the water alchemy about the moisture in the air. You know, we're directly connecting with water whenever we're breathing.
Yeah, and it felt at one point in the beginning like I got the word water, and it felt like at that point the water was being acknowledged and called in, even though I didn't verbalize it out, but could definitely feel the presence, and really just getting to share the reminder to consciously connect with water, and when we're doing this work, to ask for the help of water, because water is it's kind of always passively helping us, but we can turn that up massively by doing it consciously, and then it's an active connection and an active flushing. And water's like waiting for that acknowledgement from us, and kind of wanting us to call the energy of water in. It's like it's what water does to cleanse and flush.
It's like everything, isn't it? That we've forgotten that everything's alive and everything's conscious. So it is. It's not so much a want. I think it's just an equilibrium, isn't it? That the humans, as we become more aware of connecting with everything as living consciousness, that when we acknowledge it, it's only an acknowledgement with the heart. Even it's not even a complex thing, is just it can provide the service then, because everything is consensual. So you're inviting the synergy to synergize with you, and it's so potent, because the water carries so much energy of coherence, and it works within the body because we're mostly water. So of course it's important for us, and we lose water as well as we get older, and we don't breathe and we don't eat properly, all those different things. It affects the guts. So it feels like it's running nicely. It'll run nicely with the nerves as well, with the energy. There's a beautiful energy coming in for the nervous system.
And another form of water in the body is plasma. And plasma is like the lubrication. Plasma helps the lungs to expand. There's plasma between the layers of the heart. So really feeling to bring in the energy or to acknowledge the presence of the energy of plasma. And also, it's not the same, but like cosmic plasmic energies as well, and crystalline plasma energies. connecting and acknowledging their presence in this too.
Yeah, we're going to work with that, but that's the energy for the nervous system. That's what's here. It's here already, so it's just reflecting that. Really good.
So speaking of the nervous system, I feel that's where we're going now.
So I'm feeling this back down. It's funny, actually. I was thinking we'd be starting at the top, but I actually feel it's going right down to the solar plexus.
Yeah.
Down just between the sacral and the root. It's like, yeah, absolutely where it's going to start, this one. Do you want to go? Do you want to?
I feel you're ready to.
I'm ready. I am ready to pop, but it's good. Yeah, it's really there in that, and it's heating up. My area is heating up and tingling, so the energy is coming in regardless. It's also it's like an upwelling, because often we think of we're bringing in energy through the crown, and I may have thought that's what was going to happen in my mind, but this is what's happening in the activation is different. So we're like a drinking straw, and our spine is drinking the energy in, and it's really coming in through the dantian, and it's coming in through the root. So it's coming in through the back of the same point that Denise is talking about, down in the root. It's coming in through the front and the back and up through the perineum, and it's like a turquoise plasmic energy. It's turquoise and silver and light, diamond light energy. It's beautiful energy, like liquid energy, and it's like you're going to drink it in, and it's rotating round, and then we're going to bring it up, and at the heart, as it builds here like a reservoir, it's going to move and come out through the nervous system. So just like, imagine like a river. I like to imagine a river with energy. So it's like you're drinking in the energy as you breathe in, it's coming up. And as it's coming up, you might want to tense a little bit, just give a little bit of bottom pressure on your muscles, pull in your lower energy, lower systems to give some rise to the energy. And as you breathe out from your heart, then just allow that energy to spread naturally. So you're breathing in, it'll spread out in all directions equally. And just feel any places in your body where that energy isn't flowing. So it'll flow automatically, but maybe just give some attention to where that energy isn't flowing, and just breathe into those areas. There's nothing else to do other than breathe and be present. Kun arish gandian dea. Kendin den 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 diano de hande e kahatutuneke atekindi and de ki anotokonekate ki kamien den dea. Gunendian dengi ki anadandian guntantano kototona kendian dengenti. Ke andandan ge andandan da handayan ahaneki den 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 den. Ke andan den 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 andan andan. It's actually, the energy is actually rotating the dodehedrons that Denise was describing, that was in the sphere. It's actually bringing quite some energy here in this area. Gunda tien ten te shiken tien ten shake ken te honan tan 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 yen ten ne yan han tan ten tien han tien tan kun hien and hen nan don an de an dan tan usukuya san nen tien ten ten tie kan te no to do non don den da han den 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 den. So it's in the spine, it's trying to pull back the shoulders a little, to open up the chest as well, to give some landscape to the energy. So don't be worried if your pelvis starts to move, if you are needing to move or adjust your body and your spine, and just open to let your body move and adjust itself. It wants to move, wants to equalize. Kan yen hen yen hen hen yen nan ki 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 yan nan yen han dan yen hey yan nan yen han yen non hen yan dan ye ten ken hen dien ten hien nan yen den hen yen den ten ho anana yanana hey yanana he yanana ye honana hey yanana he yanana hun yana han yana han yana halonana yana hayana yana we hun no yana yana no yana yana we nana yana we nana yana no we Hurono we nana we nana yana nana yana nana we nana Hushore hi wasu Protekiti tueki Hashana weti abata yeno tueki atue shi shu 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 shu. So it's really clearing through the heart. Niushkuria turia rutioa mama teru taru katuia tuia uwe 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 uwe. So this energy is moving up and down quite naturally. Medo no sono no shono no tono no, little move of its own accord. It's an intelligence, it's a light intelligence. It's just asking for your presence of being. Koriki, koraka, no sayeti, horanaya, sokono, retiti, and integrating the nervous system with its new spin rate, which is vastly increased, so has greater capacity to move any stored energy, to act. Turinehi tarue ki no ta 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 no to 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 kina na ta 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 na in communication. Turina katara no kare kina hara. This is a lot about balancing the left and the right. There's a lot of coherence here. It's like the classic figure of eight, classic infinity. And it's just moving up and down the body. It's going from this region, from the solar plexus region, coming all the way up. It's going right through the whole body, and it's also got a vertical movement as well. It's moving right through the heart. It's huge, right? Energy movement. It's just tuning. This is all about fine tuning. Shu shunata su 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 ura and it's going back down to the root, all the way to the root, and feeling that space. Rira sura 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 isua. Sun harain dahi shante ki. It's going attention back up to the back of the neck. It's just moving up and down, and then seems to go in patterns of moving laterally. So if you do have a lot of stiffness in the back of your neck, in the base of the skull, where the skull meets the spinal column, the atlas, there, we're just concentrating the little energy here, like an energy sphere. There's not tehedron in this sphere. It's almost like there's connectivity, and it's going to move all the way back to where the trachea separates to go into the lungs at that point there, probably about here. Sort of between the back of the neck and here, it's just opening up some energy space. And again, this is trauma. There's a lot of trauma in the trachea. In the, it's not the right word. Yes, because it's connective tissue as well. It's all this connective tissue. It's just like, mm, mm, mm. It's very strong. I wonder if, like muscular tissue is less dense, isn't it? It's more open. The fibers are more open. They move more. Connective tissue doesn't have a lot of blood and it doesn't have a lot of water. And I'm feeling that it because of that, it seems to store a lot of it. It can store a higher capacity. That's where I'm going with this. Feels like there's high capacity in those places, and that when you release emotion, you tend to release it from the easy places like water, free water, blood, lymph, fluids, muscles. This doesn't go so easily. That's what I'm feeling. This is very, very important, this activation. It's loosening, like really tight, that really tight areas where we do it. This is also the trachea. This feels very intergenerational as well, massively. So I can feel it all the way up to the throat and down in the root, like a line of energy going down. So this is very significant. The whole body is affected by this. It's a line. It's like a line, and there must be. I'm not really good with Chinese medicine, but I'm really sure that there is the meridian line that goes along here. Yeah, it's so connective. It's very hot.
The central meridian. I'm a bit rusty on my meridian information, but I'm pretty sure the central meridian flashes up. But I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah, it's only, I mean, this is good for us because, I'm really, really ignorant. So I can just give you what is the feeling and the sense that's exactly how it's gone. It's very, very tight in the solar plexus right now because it's pushing the energy up to clear the top end after we've done some work on the bottom end. It's very good, very potent.
Oh, this is interesting. I was getting the words triple warmer, which is
yes, that's what I got before. That's what I felt. Yes.
It's the triple warmer is the meridian that controls our fight, flight, or freeze response. Mm. So when it's activated, the body's on high alert. So it is very linked to this. And I almost feel that there would be another one to counterbalance it. And I'm glad you brought in the figure of eights, because when I was moving my body, that was how I was moving in a figure of eight, and it felt like it was rippling figure of eight.
That's it.
Yeah. And I was kind of, I can't even remember how I was doing it, but I was doing like a figure of eight up the body with my hand as well.
It's like there's the spinning spiral in the middle. So there's this like a stick up your spine and a spinning spiral. And then you've got this structure in the solar plexus, and it's moving here around. It's actually seems to hover more just above the belly button, just above the sacral space, and the dantian. It's actually, I'm linking it more to that space actually, the dantian. just below, and then it's coming up and holding that space, and it's very, oh gosh, it's just so hot when you tune into it with this energy, but it's sucking. It's like the mechanism of that spiral energy is sucking up this energy, so it's rising up, it's pulling this sacrum back, pulling the spine up, moving the energy in order to release, because it's such, I think it's just because it's just so tightly held, it needs that strong energy. And then the figure of 8 is giving you the coherence across your lateral body, so it's like moving up really fast, and then it just felt that thing was spinning in the middle, and then this huge toroidal field is like balancing it all. I mean, it's beautiful. It's impossible for me to really adequately convey in words, obviously, but you can feel it. It's a light technology. We're living, like, when we're breathing this and moving this, we're working more. It's like we're creating a light ship for ourselves to shift and open potential, open the energy to move into coherence in the energy field, so the physical will move rather than moving physical.
I feel like I've got some, I'm gonna I'm gonna pop with the nerve codes that I've got. I don't think it's too long, this, but it just feels like it. I just need to blah them out. Leke or no put le bakar put one. Le barrel no you did it at a band at or it get a horn cure to the parrot could put it a big kid order. Halaki or no put laki or to put it. And the man can let it black at a doodle. I or to put it laki or to put it black at and just seeing us inside a huge octahedron as well, with a sphere around it. Ki har leki or leki or to maya to don. Alaki or no Hashta lahiat you're addicted ale at out ha ortukuni horodokutu anna makata an kiki uroi to la paranaki ai alaki orno ashta ui. Just taking a few long and slow deep breaths. Feels like I'm kind of feeling complete. Are you?
Very peaceful.
So drink plenty of water. Be gentle with yourselves. You can get to some trees and hug a tree, not only is that awesome for you and the tree, but it's also putting the codes in, because these codes get transmitted down into the heart of the earth, but also out into the cosmos, to the galaxies and all the celestial bodies. And do what your body needs to do. If you feel energized, that's awesome. You know, maybe have a bit of a dance. If you need to release energy, do it in whatever way you need to. If you need to have a little tantrum and stomp your feet and rah the energy out, then do that. If you're feeling just very peaceful, just, you know, be in that place of peace. Just go with what your body wants and just listen to your body. Oh.
I feel like I've never mentioned this ever before, so it must be significant, Denise. There might be a case for rolling around on the floor. I've got an image of like literally like you tumble down a hill, but you do it on the flat. You're rolling your body, and I think this is like to equalize the energy. So if you do feel drawn, don't resist it. You don't have to do it. It's an invitation. If you feel drawn, don't resist the impetus. So this is okay. It's okay to want to get on the floor. If you want to put some pressure on your body, if you want to roll yourself, just allow your body the grace of integrating this, because we're moving in a new way now. We're moving in an aligned way, which is where we're not dampening down our natural ways of moving. And you know, shaking, moving, the screaming, toning, whatever it is, to bring this into an integrative state. It's a very strong activation. Very beautiful. Yeah.
Thank you. And thank you for bringing that in about the rolling. I'd forgotten I was doing that for weeks and weeks, maybe even months, and I completely forgotten that I'd ever done it. All right, and thank you to everybody who's going to be with us in this. I kind of feel your presence now, even though, you know, it looks like it's just me and Susanne at the moment, but it's going a lot deeper.
We're with our family. It's just like the connective tissue of our bodies, and all the thing we spoke about, how this energy's move, the same with the universe, isn't it? We're just little micro reflectors. So it's been, yeah, lovely. I can feel the space is so nourished, and I'm sure many of you will benefit from this.
And please share it along as well, because videos often don't get seen very much, and especially if it's from YouTube, it doesn't seem to goes into a, oh, we'll leave that over there algorithm and not let that get seen.
The meta bin. Well, we're going to manifest a wide and healthy sharing. So yes, please do put this out. I'll be putting this out of my network as well. So do share it. And you know, also I think because of the nature of this, if there's people that you know that might be open to receiving this, that maybe have you know, nervous integration issues, lung issues and stuff, just, you know, open them to this, and especially with light language. It might be new to them, but it's good to offer it up, because the good thing about working like this is we're able to talk. You know, we've got two people who are in different parts of the country working with energy, and we're both feeling the same thing. We're feeling the same energy. You're feeling the same energy too. So this is really great. It's great to help people to open up, maybe consider new ways of working, new ways of being, maybe new ways of how their body's connecting as well. And yeah, do share it, because this is really powerful, really potent energy work. So thank you for sharing the space with us as well, and thank you, Denise, for inviting this a few weeks ago. When you mentioned it, it just felt so powerful, and we've been building it for a little while, haven't we? So it's nice to finally come in and just be so supported in the field as well. Just so much support for us. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I think I've no more words. I think I shall stop the recording. Thank you, everybody. Love, 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 love.